Hey guys, let's talk Beyond the Gates for today, March 16th, 2026. So we start this episode with Madison and Chelsea meeting at the country club to do wedding planning. They're supposed to be meeting Kat and Danny. However, Kat and Danny are running late. And once they get there, they start talking and Kat's making jokes and talking about how they planned Chelsea's wedding when they were 7. And then Danny comes up with an ideal wedding venue. What they don't know is that Leslie is on the other side of the wall and she's taking notes and writing down everything that she hears them try and plan so that she can give to her wedding planner that she's having to build to plan Eva's wedding. Eva, who is not engaged or even thinking about marriage. So when Danny, starts calling to make the arrangements, and all of them, when they start calling to make the arrangements, they keep getting thwarted every time they turn around, and they're like, "What is going on?" And then she was like, "Well, I know someone else I can call." And when she calls the number, they hear the phone ring. So she runs out into the lobby, and the person she was calling is in the lobby, and she finds out that Leslie has done this. Leslie wants Kat's foot on her neck permanently. I'm just saying. Anyway, then we have a scene or two where Naomi is at the hotel where we last saw her and Jacob, and she's at the hotel and there's a knock at the door and she's thinking that maybe Jacob comes back, but when she goes to the door, her mother's on the other side and she's like, "How did you know where I was at?" She was like, "Elon told me." She's like, "How did Elon told me?" She was like, "Jacob was able to tell him before what?" And Danny tells Chelsea that Jacob died in the line of duty. And I'm watching this whole thing play out and I'm like, this is a dream sequence. I knew it because I was like, ain't no way, because it was too sudden. And I know that Naomi loves Jacob, but does she? Because she be acting like she be half ready to get rid of him half the time, and she was a little bit too distraught for me. Ariel played that though. Let me say that I'm not knocking Ariel. She's a great actress, and she played that well, like that. Yes, but at the same time, like I know she gonna be sad if Jacob die because she do love him, but she be acting like she ready to get rid of Jacob half the time anyway. I'm just saying. But anyway, then she wakes up and Jacob is still there and they're talking and she's telling him about her dream and he's like, "I'm sorry I have to put you through this, because, he was like, you didn't sign up for this." And she was like, "No, this is exactly what I signed up for." She was marrying a cop, a detective. She knew what she was signing up for, but it's just, you can know and you can try and prepare for something all you want, but once you're actually in it is a whole nother different thing. And so that's what it was basically for Naomi. Um, then she goes to the hospital to see Ashley because she's telling Ashley about um she's going to see Ashley. I'm sorry, my friend is texting me. She's going to see Ashley to tell her about the dream she had and how she was with Jacob, and Ashley is being the good friend. Ashley is a good friend. Ashley's stupid, but Ashley's a good friend. Then we have Nicole and Carlton, and he's asking her out on a date, and she was like, "Well, last 2 times I tried to get you out on a date, you turned me down." And then he was like, "I ain't making that mistake no more." And they're talking, having good banter or whatever. And then Kyle walks up in her office, and he starts acting crazy. And he's like, "Oh, I came to get my watch." And she was like, "Well, maybe I can give it to you. We can talk about that another time." And he was like, "No, I need my watch because I got to go here. So I need my watch now." And then he was like, "Where did you find it?" Because he trying to let him know that he was with Nicole. And it was like, it was kind of disgusting. I was not feeling it from Kyle at all. And so then Nicole had to let them know. She was like, "I ain't here for all of this. I will let y'all both kick y'all both to the curb and go on about my business. Like, because there's many out there in the street. I don't got to deal with this." And Carlton's like, "Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. You won't ever have to worry about anything like this from me. Maybe I should just leave and let y'all talk." And she was like, "I appreciate that. That's very gentlemanly of you." And Kyle was like, "Well, maybe you won't let this, change." He's no, because after he says this, then Kyle still keeps stuff going, trying to keep stuff going. And basically, Nicole told him, "Don't hold your breath because I probably ain't calling you because I don't like this shit." And you know what? I ain't mad at Nicole because what are y'all doing? And then anyway, so then we have Isaiah and Eva. She's supposed to be going to work, but they in her apartment doing what grown folks do or whatever. And they start talking about the wedding books that are laying around her apartment. And she's like, "Oh yeah, my mom is going crazy or whatever. But I think I put her in her place." Who puts Leslie in their place? Because everyone is incapable of doing that on this show, as we can tell. No one puts Leslie in anything. So anyway, she's like, "But I think I put my mom in her place." Then her mom knocks on the door, and they're looking at the door like, "Who's at the door?" And then her mom walks in. Mind you, they're sitting in on the sofa naked, post coitus, and wrapped in blankets. And she just comes, sits there, and starts chatting like this is normal. She's like, "Can you go out in the hall and let us get dressed?" This is so disgusting. Like, whose mother does that? This is like insanity to me. Like, Leslie's antics are not even funny, in my opinion. Like, they're absurd and crazy to me. And anyway, so she goes out in the hallway, and then she comes back in. Isaiah gives her coffee. Eva's like, she gotta leave. Isaiah was like, "Well, I'll lock up after she leaves and after we leave or whatever." And she's like, "You sure?" So he goes and he sits and he put his hand on Leslie's knee. And he's not trying to be weird or nothing. But Leslie thinks everybody wants her. Girl, don't nobody want you. Nobody. Not even, sorry, not even Malone. And she is like, "Oh, don't you try it with me." And he was like, "Girl, calm down. I ain't trying to make no move on you. I care about Eva, and I if and when we decide to take that step, it'll be between me and her, but I'll be make sure that you're the first to know." And she was like, "Oh, you really care about my daughter?" And he was like, "Yeah." So I don't know if that's going to make her stop, because Leslie doesn't stop. She's already tasked the wedding planner with planning Chelsea's wedding for Eva, basically. Because one thing about Leslie is she thinks that if in order for her to be happy in life, she has to somehow one up the Duprees and do everything they want, but on a grander scale. It's so weird. And I don't like how Leslie is just running around being rude and no one checks her, because she called that wedding planner out her name and threw them napkins at her. You think I want to be planning a wedding for you when you don't even know how to treat people? Because she thinks that when you get money in class, you treat people bad. The Duprees never treated you bad. They treated you the way they treated you because of how you presented yourself. Have y'all ever watched the Cosby Show? You present the food on the garbage can lid. Do you want to eat it? I'm just saying. Let me know in the comments what y'all thought about today's episode, and I'll be back tomorrow. Hey guys, let's talk Beyond the Gates for today, March 17th, 2026. So we start this episode with Ted and Shanice there at the hospital, and Ted knows Shanice's aunt is coming into town, and they're talking about that. And while they're talking, Eva comes up and she's frantic about Leslie, and she's like, "You need to talk to her." And Ted and Eva leave to go to his office, and then Shanice ends up talking to Kyle and helping him with something. And while she's doing that, her aunt comes off the elevator and she's looking at Kyle like, mm. And so when Shanice, steps away to go handle some duties, she's talking to Kyle, and she finds out that he's moving to the area, and he's furnishing his place. And she asked Shanice, like, why all the doctors in this hospital fine? So anyway, they go to lunch, and Shanice's aunt asks if Ted's coming to the birthday party, and she was like, no, not ready to introduce him yet. She's like, why are you skeptical? Like, is there drama there? Trying to figure out like how messy and vindictive is Nicole. Now, Nicole irritates me as far as her treatment of her child, her daughter mainly. However, I definitely wouldn't say that Nicole is vindictive. And I don't think that she started seeing Carlton in a way to get back at Ted. I don't think that's her thing. But she's definitely out there trying to figure out who she is, which I actually support Nicole trying to figure out who she is now that she's not in a marriage that went on for as long as it did. Because the person that you were when you got married is not the person that you are now. And so you do need to take the time to figure that out. And so I can appreciate that of Nicole. Um, and they start talking about Leslie and everything. And Shanice is trying to tell her aunt that she's confident. And her aunt was like, "Well, what if Nicole wants to open back the door even a little to Ted?" And she was like, "Yeah, I don't think I got anything to worry about." But you can kind of see on Shanice's face that she is a little concerned by that, because like, what if? She was the love of his life, according to him. She's the mother of his children. And I tell you all the time, they can hate the baby mamas all they want to, but it's something about them. But yeah. Then we have Danny and Andre. Danny and Andre are so cute. I just hope that Danny doesn't do anything foolish while Andre is out of town. But they are so cute. I love me some Danny and Andre because he's in the shower and then he comes out and he's drying off or whatever. And she just like, hey, that's my man. Danny is hilarious. I think Danny is hilarious because she looking at her husband like, and she's telling him, what's going on as far as the wedding planning. And then he's like, oh, I'm going to go talk to my uncle to see if he can get Leslie in line. Why does everyone keep sicking Ted on Leslie? Ted can't rein her in. Like, that's just, it's not going to happen. Like, it's not possible. Like, be for real. I don't know. Because that's the second person today. It's like, you need to talk to her. But anyway, he's like, I need I'll go talk to him. She was like, no, I need you to take that towel off. And he was like, that's not going to help your problem. She said, I think we should try. And then, you know, he and Danny are talking, and he was like, can we schedule the dinner with Shanice and Uncle Ted? And she was like, oh, I'm not putting it off. It just slipped my mind with everything going on, but I'll put it on the calendar for when you get back from your trip. And she was like, I know how much this relationship means to you, and that Ted is your uncle, he's your family. I'm supportive of that. And I love when they're being supportive. But Danny just has the tendency to Danny things sometimes. And I just wish she wouldn't do that with Andre, because he is good to her and for her. But he leaves, and then Kat comes over and she relays information to her aunt that she learned from Isaiah, because they meet at the food court earlier. And she's basically like, I heard you engaged. I would have thought that you had enough sense to like get yourself involved with that. And I get where Kat is coming from, and I don't like have any problem with her being the only one that wants to hold Eva and Leslie to the fire. I don't have a problem with that. But some people only want to believe what they want to believe, and I say let them. And Isaiah doesn't want to heed warning. Let him learn the hard way. And so he was like, they're not engaged, but either Eva is worth putting up with all of this and all of this stuff. And it's just like, okay, bro, go off. Go be with your girl. And so she goes to her aunt's house and she tells her, that um he and Eva aren't even engaged. And then Danny thanks her for, what she's doing with Anita. And she tells her that she's planning a lunch for Anita if she's filling up to it today. And that the new chemo has caused Anita to accept help more than she normally would, because she doesn't even have the energy or the strength to fight. And so Danny is like, well, how about this? My schedule is light today. I'm going to go roll with you and join you for lunch with Grant. And I just like that. And I wish that we could have that kind of situation with Nicole, because it seems like Nicole is a little disjointed from this whole situation, and it's like she's more focused on her personal life than what's going on with her mother, because it's very rare that we see her with her mom. Like, we've seen Danny be her mom's confidant in all of this, and now Kat is doing that. But we don't really get those moments with Nicole. And I'm like, Nicole, are you realizing what you're doing? Like, you're not engaging with your family as much as you should be at this juncture. I don't know. But then we have Derek and Leslie, and Derek is being harassed by Leslie because for some reason her purpose on the show is to harass everyone. And he tries to call Eva, and then Eva gets upset because her mom is bothering Derek now. And Isaiah's like, well, I talked to her and I think everything is going to be okay. And she's looking at him like, dude, do you not know who you messing with? And then he was like, well, we're engaged according to what she's been telling people. And then he tells her that he heard it from Kat. Then we at the hospital. Shanice and her aunt are talking, and here comes Leslie starting in with the aunt. But the aunt seen time enough for Leslie, which is good because somebody gotta be. But that was Beyond the Gates for today. Let me know what you thought. Tomorrow is the last day of Beyond the Gates, I think, for this week. due to the NCAA tournament. So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow to wrap up the Beyond the Gates week. Bye. Hey guys, let's talk Beyond the Gates for today, March the 18th, 2026. Also, this is the last Beyond the Gates for this week. So we'll be back on Monday. But we start this episode with Bill and Vernon. Vernon is talking to Bill because he's come over to tell Bill that he handled the Leslie situation as far as the construction goes. And, everyone is like, especially in the household, is very drained because of Anita's um, cancer treatments. And so, like, it's all over Vernon's countenance and even Anita's. Like, you can, like, it's all over them. When you look at them, you know that they're going through something and that it's tough. And so, Bill is talking and he's like, I'm glad that I would be able to do this. And we see that Vernon is very appreciative. And so when he's about to leave, Anita like is leaning against the wall and she's like, "Hey Bill." And she wants to talk to Bill. And Bill's like trying to get out of there, out of there. But she's like, "I want to talk to Bill." And so, they're talking, sitting on the sofa and they're talking. And, she then at some point asks um, Vernon to go to Orphe Jeans to pick her up something that she's craving, which I don't even think she's gonna really eat it because Gran, she wasn't looking too hot today. You can tell those treatments are taking a lot out of her. But he leaves and she's left with Bill because she was like, Bill can stay here with me. And so she's talking to Bill and she's thanking Bill and she's like, Bill, I know you'll be honest with me. Tell me what you see when you look at me. Do you see me or do you see cancer? And he's like, I see my mother, because he says that his father beat well, not like physically beat, but like took the life out of her the way that he was. And he was like, I can see the cancer is getting the better of you, but you stronger than that. And he was like, you hurting? Call your doctor and make your doctor give you something for the pain. You don't got to sit back and take that. Their conversation was so raw and so real. And I held it together and I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm going to make it through this without getting emotional. No. So Bill's leaving, right? And he goes and he walks to the foyer and he stands there and he's gathering himself before he walks through the door. But before he can fully gather himself, Kat walks into the house. And Kat sees him standing there gathering himself. She looks past him into the living room to see Grant in the living room. And he's upset. She's upset. And they kind of have a moment where they both break and they end up in one another's arms. And it was just, that is the warmest scene that we have ever seen between Kat and Bill, because ever since he hurt her Aunt Danny, she don't really see it for Bill at all. But that was the most warm and vulnerable moment we've seen between Kat and Bill, and it was just, oh my goodness, I cried. I shed tears. Like I had to take my glasses off and get tissue because I was emotional in that moment, and I was like, darn it, I failed because I'm crying. But then we have Eva and Leslie there with the contractor, and the contractor's basically telling her there's been a stop because what they're doing is an inch petty is an inch over the property line. And so until they can get that resolved, they can't continue the construction on her house. And so she's livid and she's like, you need to call and get the inspector down here ASAP, blah, 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 yada, 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 yada. So then because I can't call her anything else, because she do whole things all the time. What I'm supposed to call it? Talking about something, I know how to get what I want out of a man, and she freshening up her lip gloss. Only the inspector is not a man; it's a woman, and she don't play the radio, and she tell her you need to get this fixed, and the construction cannot continue until it's fixed. So she's like livid, and she's going crazy, all going off on the contractor. Eva gets mad at her and says, "Don't call me, I'll call you," and leaves. And it's so funny to me because Kat's sitting over in the booth in the corner, and she's watching all of this, and she's like, Eva walks by, and Eva looks at her, and she's like, Kat is so funny to me. And so then she's going off, and then Leslie comes over there and says something to Kat, and Kat's like, "Girl, Karma is a bigger bitch than you." Yes, Kat, let her know. But anyway, then Isaiah goes to see Joey, and he's like basically asking for permission from Joey to be able to speak with Eva about their past and their history, and Joey ultimately gives it to him, and um because he is a supporter of young love, whatevs. But anyway, then Vanessa comes over, and they're talking, and she's telling him how things aren't good with her and Deanna, and he suggests that she calls Deanna, leave her a voicemail, she'll listen to it when she's ready, and at least you're trying to let her know that you're there, which I agree, because she talks to Nicole, and I'll go ahead and get to that. She goes to see Nicole, and Nicole was like, respect her boundaries and all of that, which I do believe in respecting boundaries, but I feel like as a mother, you don't want to act like it's not happening. And that's the thing with Nicole. She often ignores what's going on with Kat, or she lashes out in anger. You just need to get over it instead of dealing with the root of the situation, which in Kat's case is that Kat is grieving the loss of her family as it was. And instead of acknowledging that Kat is grieving, she's like, get over it or ignore it. And I don't, yes, you need to respect boundaries. And I understand Deanna may not be in a space to talk, but you don't want to go completely ghost or completely silent. You still want her to know that you're still there. And that's why I liked when Joey was like, call her, leave her a voicemail, and she'll listen to it when she's ready. Like, to give her that option. Like, leave the options open. But to just ignore it and wait for it to come around, because if you let stuff fester for too long, sometimes they don't get better. They actually get worse. And as a psychiatrist, I feel like Nicole should know that. But whatevs. And then also at Orphe Jean's, Kat comes in, she sees Kyle, and she comes and sits at his table, and she's like, what are your intentions with my mom? And he's like taken aback, and he was like, I like her or whatever. And she was like, okay, all that is cute and whatever, but I'm protective about mine. And I just wish Nicole was as protective about Kat as Kat is about Nicole, because Nicole doesn't treat Kat like the miracle child that um she says that Kat is, because she treats Kat horribly. I'm sorry. But yeah. But anyway, after his conversation with Kat, he goes over to Nicole's office, and he takes Nicole a key to his place. And she's like, I'm not ready to do that. And I don't know that I'm ready, to reciprocate that. And I don't know that I will be. And he's like, I understand all of that. But I just want you to know, because I don't intend on seeing anyone else or whatever, whatever. So he kind of light applying pressure. And I don't know. I don't like it. But Nicole found it cute or whatever. But yeah, that was Beyond the Gates for this week. They are not airing tomorrow, Friday, because of the NCAA March Madness, but they'll be back next week, and so will I.